Welcome to Talk Show to Go. Our show is brought to you by MemeStudium.com and other fine sponsors such as
you, the viewer. Visit MemeStudium.com/Premium Deluxe to support the show.
Today we're joined by our co-host Glorbasnexk, special guests
Phoenix Theater's State Wayne, Rotten Tomatoes film critic Nate Adams,
and your host.
I don't know, find an angle, I'll pop up. I stole some Pepsi cups. We are at the State Wayne Theater by Phoenix Theaters. We're supposed to do a walkthrough interview with somebody here, and then they got stuck in traffic. I don't really know what happened, so I've been just hanging out here on the roof, getting a little cold. Gonna wait for our guest Nate Adams, Rotten Tomatoes approved critic. Do a little interview with him once he gets here. Oh no, my cups. My cups. This is so cool up here. I love this. I feel on top of the world. Do I open it? Do I open the toilet? Oh!
Reminds Glorbasnexk of his childhood.
I really want to flush it, but I don't want to cause flooding in the Betty White ceremony. Yeah, it's a 4D experience. It's the tears of all her fans falling from the roof. I just get cursed energy here. We really could secure the bag and just get cut on some rusty metal, sue them. I've always wanted to be back here. There's people. Yo, I need a selfie.
No. Hey, Jake, what is 468 divided by 117?
4. I swear to God, if I catch anyone bringing outside food, I'm gonna wring their neck. Oh, it's Spider-Man. Bootleg. 4K cam footage. Spider-Man, No Way Home. Oh, a sex scene is about to happen.
What is a sex?
Alright, it looks like there's rusty shards. Watch out, there's actual glass. Careful. Oh, shit. God, this is so creepy. Why are they just letting me do this? Why do we just have free reign right now? Let's go explore.
Wait, shine your light
Die, what the fuck? Where are we? Oh my god. This is like a scenario where it's like, you know that story of the dude who owned a hotel and would just murder people? This is what from Phoenix Theaters does. He invites podcast hosts to murder them.
Yeah, sure, you can come.
Yeah, come. Sure. Little popcorn container, some old seats. Looks like a dead body. Child. Sex, male. Age 9 to 10. Whatever. A man they never met should not be allowed to walk this. What the fuck? This is a dead end. Alright, everybody, make sure you subscribe to Talk Show to Go Premium Deluxe. A lot of extra footage, full interviews. Let's just see if they happen to come by. No? Okay. Alright.
Oh no, you missed!
Game over.
What? $1 for that? It's the public. Enjoy your show, everybody. I just want to make sure you guys enjoy your show. And if you have any issues with the concessions, please talk to me. I'm the assistant manager here, so. Oh, they're not working? Okay, let me see what I can do here. The blue's not working? Let me see what I can do for you. Alright. Yeah, these kind of do that every now and then. Huh. Yeah, our blue's not working. Our blue's not working right now. It's just making a mess. Yeah, blue's down right now.
You got it?
Yeah, I got you.
Just like that.
Oh, down.
Don't be too aggressive.
Oh.
Get in.
Get in there like that?
There you go.
It's flowing.
Right.
There. Let me hit that blue again.
Lifesaver.
Let's see.
Thank you.
That's why I'm assistant general manager. Support the show and gain access to additional content on Talk Show to Go Premium Deluxe. Check out full interviews, behind-the-scenes content, additional memes, and more. Visit memestudium.com/Premium Deluxe today or tomorrow. Whenever. Did you see me on the marquee? Up top?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That was me. I got a new job here. I'm the other marquee guy.
When in high school, I worked at a theater,
Oh, really?
like a one-screen
Uh-huh.
mom and pop shop, and got to build 35 millimeter film prints. It was
Oh,
like the,
really?
like the last of my generation. Like I would get out of school and I would come back and there'd be like reels in the.
And you
in
put them
the booth, and
together?
I'd put them together.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was
So they
kinda-
have
it was
some
kinda fun.
decommissioned stuff back here.
It's a completely useless.
Is it one of these?
Yeah. And you would thread the film
Yeah.
through right there, and it's a completely useless tactic now.
Now it's just like this is something I wanted to find out.
It's a hard drive.
It's just a hard drive.
Yeah, it's just a hard drive. Yeah.
On a streaming service, how do you get those? Is that just a code, email?
Yeah, it's usually a screening link.
Okay.
They send a digital link encrypted to you and your email address, so that way, if for some reason it found its way online or it leaked,
Yeah.
they'd come after you, right?
I saw you post a thing once where it was like your name was over the top,
Huge.
huge.
Yeah,
Does that get distracting?
sometimes that was a more egregious example
Okay.
of the like studio overreach that. And if I remember correctly, I think it was for like Paw Patrol the movie or something. It wasn't even anything like worth leaking. Netflix is pretty creative in that they just put the movie, when their stuff and their shows, they create a preview content row in their service, so in the app. So it's not even separate; it's just automatically preloaded.
In your personal
In
Netflix
my
one?
personal Netflix.
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
You just unlock it.
So actually, get behind me. It legit is treacherous back here.
It just says die.
It-
Right. So that's
Like as in death.
wow.
Yeah.
Is it like if you see Bloody Mary 3 times? I don't want to test it.
So for what we thought is this is where they take all the people who brought outside food in, and they
Oh,
come to kill them and murder them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're gonna have this set up for our interview.
Nacho cheddar seasoning.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Here, I'm just gonna throw this way and we'll pick it up after you see the stair set. Oh, we definitely interrupted Spider-Man. Yo, Spider-Man just got ruined for somebody.
So is this a screen in front of this or something?
I don't know. If it is,
Is
they're
the
probably
blob
hearing
one back
this.
there?
Yeah, but super cool though, actually.
It is kind of cool.
Memes aside, but it's super creepy.
There's a nail
It's
right there, so
unfortunate.
maybe you
So watch
find
out for the
that.
rusty metal.
Don't need tetanus today.
Yum! Tetanus!
So I'll show you. I just think you'll appreciate the marquee.
So your job is not the marquee.
No.
Yeah.
No, I have no association with the Munich theaters.
I was like,
No, that's all gonna be. Hope we don't collapse in with 3 people on here. They didn't tell me anything about a weight
is
limit.
there a fire code or anything?
We honestly, it's been a complete free for all since we got here. I'm not gonna lie. So this theater is 75 years old, and Phoenix Theaters bought it in like 2012 or 2014. So I assume this was like newer neon that they added on the original.
And Phoenix is a chain.
Yeah, they're a small chain. It looks like it's mostly Michigan and like I think Ohio, Indiana.
Yeah, and it's nice to see them still thriving and still
Yeah,
here and
exactly.
still open because
Right.
that is something that's not happening as much these
Exactly.
days. I love a good marquee. It's a relic of an old time,
Right.
right? You know.
I wish that was still. I don't know. There's a lot of like old theater stuff that I wish was still like monetarily feasible like that.
Right.
But it's just people don't. They're not going anymore.
They're not going anymore for certain films. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's tough
It's
to
just the
say.
big blockbusters
Big
seems like the
blockbusters
biggest
are,
thing.
Scream did okay.
Even the
Absolutely.
superhero movies this year. So I've been going to theaters ever since I've been vaccinated, and Spider-Man was the first time that it was even remotely busy and it was like sold out. Every other time I've gone personally, I usually go matinees
enough,
often,
yeah.
but there's literally like it's been rare if there's more than 10 people in a show.
So
I've had multiple occasions where it's just me, my girlfriend, maybe one other set of people there.
when I go to screenings, so those are promotional screenings, and the studios usually pack those, right? Because they
Yeah.
give out free. So I have been to a few.
Also, people that
movies.
aren't just critics will also go there.
Yeah, there's press. They do press screenings, and then they usually do promotional screenings, and then they pack it with people. So like I saw like Halloween Kills. I saw Space Jam. All those. I saw those with packed audiences.
Yeah.
And so even watching something like something like that, Space Jam, even though it wasn't very good, but it was still just like wow, being around people.
Yeah.
This is
I was going to talk to you about Space Jam in the sit-down part, but bring it up now since you're at it. I loved Space Jam
love
too.
Space Jam.
I was cracking up the entire time.
Man, that makes,
I know I'm a very minority.
Makes one of us.
To be fair, I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan, and also was not sober during the showing.
I was gonna ask, are you a LeBron fan too?
No, I'm not really into
Next
sports. Yeah.
I always say it's like I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because I would hate to feel like you wasted your time.
Yeah.
So
Space Jam 2 is like my number one, like, bad movie, everybody hates it, but I loved it and had a lot of fun with it.
I really liked the Kristen Stewart movie Underwater that came out last year.
That looked
last
so
January.
bad. Was that good?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love a creature feature.
Okay.
And if you go back and watch it, and I actually ended up buying it, and you watch the
Really?
special features,
Yeah.
and you see like they filmed with practical sets and not a lot of CGI. I mean, obviously some of the underwater creatures were obviously CGI,
Right.
and it kind of was before this Kristen Stewart phase, or the craze is kind of ramping up because
Yeah.
she's got Oscar buzz for Spencer, and it's like I was always on the Kristen Stewart bandwagon.
Glorbasnexk's favorite movie is The Legend and Times of Grail Schmuck.
And if you have to go to the bathroom at any point during the interview,
Oh,
there's
wow, great!
there's the whole toilet.
Just right out in the open.
Just right out in the open.
Wow.
Yeah. If you want to be filmed, it's up to you. Depends on what your take is. Yeah. Support the show and gain access to additional content on Talk Show To Go Premium Deluxe. Check out full interviews, behind-the-scenes content, additional memes, and more. Visit memestudium.com/premium deluxe today or tomorrow. Whenever. All right, so we're just going to get right into it, Nate. So how do you like this back room area?
Oh, it's giving me great reminiscence to the old days.
Yeah. So
Right.
you used to work on a projector just like this.
Used to work on a projector just like this in my hometown where I grew up, and building film prints and going after school and opening up it would come in a box. And sometimes if it was like Transformers or the Batman or a big movie and we got it before like the opening weekend, right? The box would come with locks on it.
Okay.
And then the studio would send you the combination like a couple hours
Really?
before the first premiere so you could build the print and
To
get ready to
prevent
go.
spoilers.
Correct.
piracy.
All that stuff.
Okay.
Right.
So is that your start into getting into movies? Like, how did you get into movies where it's like, now it's your career? Like, what's your origin
Yeah,
story?
so we had a school newspaper, right? I feel like that's where it all begins. And you're giving your pitches to it was my eighth grade journalism teacher. Her name was Mrs. Guest. Shout out Mrs. Guest, if she'll see this or even remember me. But I had a column in the Redskin Review because we were the Clinton Redskins, not anymore. They're the Red Wolves.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I had Rockin' Reviews was my segment, and I would review because I went to the movies a lot when I was younger. We had like I said, the Clinton Theater, and we had a local video store, which I also ended up working at.
Oh, really?
While working at the movie theater, it was a good dual gig. I just fell in love with the aspect of film and a movie theater. When I was a kid, I would pretend that my room was a movie theater.
So how did that start? Were you just naturally were drawn to it, or was your family, were they into movies? And they got you into
So
it?
my family, they're huge VHS collectors.
Oh,
back
okay.
in those days, right?
Yeah.
And actually, first too, I wanted to be an actor first.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did you do any acting?
I do, and that's what I studied in college. I
Okay.
went to Siena Heights, and I studied theater, speech, communications.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a performer. And then when I was there too, I worked at their newspaper, Spectra, and I was their entertainment editor.
Right.
And I would do film reviews every week, and I got paid to do it. And I remember thinking to myself, man, people can get paid to do this.
Right.
Going back to the days of staying up late on Sunday nights, probably when I wasn't supposed to at school the next day, but I was, watching. It was Gene Siskel, as he passed in 1999, so I was watching Richard Roper and Roger Ebert. Ebert and Roper, until obviously Roger Ebert went off because he had to, he lost his voice, he had that surgery, and seeing them, and I was like, wow, they're watching. And I remember watching they reviewed The Dark Knight. It was like a week before it came out, and I was like, they got to see it early. They got to see it before it came out.
How'd they get that?
I was like, how does this? They was like, what? This is come out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I looked and wow, they got paid, and people go to screenings all day and watch movies all day. I'm like, this is the life. I remember, so my favorite movie, and you use the term favorite because that's the number one question you always get asked when you're in the profession and you review films. Like, well, what's your favorite movie? It's like, well, I can say
Tough
with
question.
Yeah.
I don't plan on asking that because I don't have.
Sure. I mean, I could give you my top, but to be honest with you, it's the first Scream movie. Scream was kind of the first film I saw. Probably way too young. I think I was probably 8 or 9 because my parents, we had them all, and I think I probably smuggled the VHS after my parents went to sleep. Sorry, Mom and Dad. And after that point, I already had seen it, and I remember watching it and thinking, this movie's trying to say something. I was so young, and I was like, what is this movie trying to say? And I'm trying to find out these. Aside from being absolutely terrified in the opening scene, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
With Drew Barrymore and just being 8 or 9-year-old watching that and just be like, this is absolutely terrifying.
Right.
When they started talking about and deconstructing the film that they were essentially starring
That's what
in,
they're making. Yeah.
I was like, there's something here that's poetic. One of the first movies that I kept rewatching, and I think I eventually burned out the VHS tape. It was getting grainy by the time that I was done with it, and watching it on my small 14-inch TV in my room or something. and just being like, wow, it's picking up the subtle nuances and picking up the what Wes Craven was framing and the foundation that he was laying and the hints, and that's kind of where it was like it clicked for me. It's like, wow, like movies can, they can teach us something. They can say something. And that's kind of also how I got into horror, because I love horror films a lot now too.
Glorbasnexk loves to participate in horror.
So what movies this year? What are you looking forward to? What have you already liked so far?
So I love Scream.
Yeah.
Because
Scream
obviously
is
my roots.
5?
It's the
Scream
fifth one.
five?
Scream
Okay.
5.
Yeah.
And I can make a case for all the sequels.
Yeah.
Scream to me is like one of the most consistent horror franchises for me. Yeah,
I've only
because
seen the first one. So,
it's like for like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like after those first ones, they kind of got off some weird detours and like went into some weird directions.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. There's a new Ty West film from A24 coming out called X. It looks.
Yeah, I saw the
It's
poster for
called.
that.
It's like a
That's cool.
slasher kind of thing. I don't. Like I said, I don't watch trailers.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it. But Ty West, he did a segment on the VHS anthology.
Mm-hmm.
Directed The Innkeepers. Even directed like a. This is how deep my horror, like Cabin Fever 2,
Yeah.
a direct-to-DVD like schlock fest.
Uh-huh.
I've even seen that. Like that's just how you see everything.
Right.
And he directed that, so I'm excited to see him kind of work under the A24 label.
Yeah.
It comes out in March, so that's not. I was really excited for Scream. I'm kind of bummed that Scream came out already because I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like, man, what do I have to look forward to this year? No.
Right.
I'm excited for Top Gun Maverick. I love Tom Cruise. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I want to see Pixar's Lightyear. That looks interesting.
Same.
We talk about these reboots and rehashes and sequels and everything getting kind of regurgitated into theaters, but it's like, man, give me a Scream movie every
Yeah.
year. Give me a Lightyear. It's like it works. It sells. It
Right.
makes me want to go see it. Jordan Peele's got a film coming out next summer. It's
Yeah.
called Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know anything about it, and that's what excites me. All I know is that
Is that coming to theaters?
yeah. We got a new
sure.
Robert Eggers film coming out called The Northman, and if you follow Robert Eggers' career, he did The Witch and he did The Lighthouse.
Oh, really?
Two bonker films.
When does that come out? I love both of those.
I think it's coming out in April.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called The Northman. It's got one of the Skarsgårds leading
Cool.
it. Yeah,
Lighthouse
so
was my favorite of that year. One of my favorites.
there's a lot of options this year, and you got to think A24 and Neon, because
Yeah.
they're keeping the independent indie art house scene kind of thriving.
Right.
Whereas, those are the only like mid-budget range films that are kind of making it into theaters right
Did you
now
see
because of
Lamb?
them. I did see Lamb.
What'd you
Love
think of
Lamb.
Lamb?
Lamb
Yeah,
was
that was
good.
cool.
Lamb was bonkers.
Really weird.
And I think this year's going to be bigger in terms of box office next
Yeah.
to last year. At least I hope.
HBO's doing what's it now? 45 days.
45 days
in
theatrical
theaters?
exclusivity, and then
Yeah.
it comes on HBO Max.
I think that's
yeah.
kind of gonna be the future.
That's the
Let's talk
sweet
about
spot,
Yeah.
right? I don't. The days of 90 days is gone. Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
never
too-
going to
that's too
happen. We talked earlier when we were walking through the theater
Mm-hmm.
about people, going to the movies and not going to the movies anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's kind of hard when you're getting a movie like Don't Look Up,
Right.
which stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Tyler Perry, Kate Blanchett. This hellacious cast,
Mhm.
and they can get it at home on their streaming service for free.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of where TV is at now, because now movies with smaller mid-budgets targeted towards adults, they just don't open in theaters anymore. So now you're going to see a lot of that shifting to
Yeah.
streaming services and what's coming on in TV. And so it's kind of got to go. You got to go where that flow is, right?
What's your so like obviously I know you like the theater, miss that. Is that kind of do you still appreciate the fact that stuff is easily accessible for people?
Yeah,
That there's more, or is it kind of like it kind of takes away?
And this
from
is
the-
something that I think absolutely, and I think it's great accessibility, because
Yeah.
this is something that the pandemic taught us, right? Is
Right.
that anybody can have access to anything? Because before, studios were very reluctant to send out screening links to their biggest films, and now
Yeah.
they've gotten back into the habit of not providing as much as they did during the pandemic, but
Right.
there's still a steady stream of things coming in, and so that proved that everybody could watch it, like people with disabilities, people that can't get
Yeah.
out there because they're immune compromised.
Right.
And I think that is important. That is so vital that even now that we're out of the pandemic, that those folks should still have the option to see it.
Right.
And people are seeing things that they probably would never see, like Squid Game.
Yeah.
Could you have told yourself 3 years ago that anybody, even like my own family members, be like,
No.
we're gonna watch a South Korean TV show,
for it to be the biggest show at the time. There's
yeah,
no way. That'd be
nobody would
something
have
that I would've
ever-
saw, but like
that doesn't exist without Netflix, and so
Exactly.
that's important as
Yeah.
far as like accessibility, and it's introducing people to things and documentaries
Mhm.
in the indie film scene that theaters did provide, and theaters are going to stick around. Like theaters are not going anywhere.
so?
We
Okay.
have shown
I
that
hope so.
with Spider-Man: Far From Home and Scream doing pretty well. That theaters are still a vital part of movies' viability and their long-term shelf life.
is it going to be all blockbusters? Do you think?
Yes, and then occasionally, once the market starts bouncing out a little bit, you might see like House of Gucci did okay, but House of Gucci did okay because it had Lady Gaga effect,
Right.
and that's an adult
Was
an
that
adult
a
targeted
theater
film.
exclusive?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it only made, and the thing is, it's like it only made 50 million, but that's a huge success right
So,
now.
yeah.
We were talking about accessibility. I think that's great
Mm-hmm.
because the pandemic also showed me that I had a lot of blind spots in
Yeah.
films that I had never seen.
Right.
And I grew up on a dairy farm, out in rural.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I milked cows, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And not a lot of internet, rural, like didn't have access to a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
If I wanted to see something, I had to hope to God it would come on at Stars at like 11:30 at night, and I would have to try and record it or stay up late for it. That was how I saw a lot of things. And so the local video stores didn't carry a lot of the older stuff because, nobody really wanted to watch it. But now, everything's at a push of a button.
Right.
Like I want to see an old Humphrey Bogart movie. I want to watch a Cary Grant film. I want to watch Katharine Hepburn, Jimmy Stewart, right? All these old classics, push of a button. I can look it up on my Apple TV, and there it is. That's insane.
Right.
That's insane. How do most people see your films, right, in the long term?
They're at
They're
home.
going to see them on TV, at home. Like Jaws, Back to the Future, E.T., all those films. I didn't see those first in the movie
Same.
theater.
Exactly.
I saw them at home on my little TV, and let me tell you, it still felt the impact. The
Right.
story can just move you in a way, even on a small screen. You can go back, and I think I went and saw Back to the Future in a movie theater some years later after I'd already seen it a million times on a big screen. And yeah, it was great, and I loved it, but I would still take that first time seeing it at home on a TV over anything because the story and that experience was worth more.
You want to play some games?
Yeah. Oh,
Alright.
of course.
I'm going to give you some quick YouTube videos, TikToks of videos that I've made in the past before I start Talk Show to Go. And I want you to give me like your quick review, first thoughts of these videos.
Oh, okay. The only
You can
okay.
just-
I'm not a big Pokemon fan.
So what's the review?
Well, I don't know if I'm adequate to review it because I don't know I have enough knowledge of
That's the
Pokemon.
challenge. You gotta-
C plus.
C plus.
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
fine.
there you are. What a
That's me.
performance. Unhinged.
Literature.
Unhinged. Wow, this is what we like to see.
Studio
Buzz cut,
is
dude.
all.
Yeah, no.
B plus.
B plus.
Like that one. World star. Okay. Love the shaky found footage camera style.
He beat the out of him. He beat the out of him too.
Is this like a joke? Is this like an inside joke type of thing? A Thanksgiving story?
Grandma, what have you done? Grandma, what have you done? You ate the entire f***ing turkey, Grandma. What the f***? Grandma, what the f***? Why'd you eat the entire f***ing turkey, Grandma? What the f***? Now we're gonna starve.
Also a thinker.
Oh, that was good. That's the best one.
That's the best one.
That's the best one.
Thanksgiving story.
Bust down Lima?
Bust down Tati Lama.
Tati Lama. Okay. Has your camera person seen these? A B on that one.
A B?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's a pretty good reviews. for all these.
Good batting average there.
I'll take all of those. Can you review this episode once it comes out?
Sure. Yeah, Meta. Very probably already an A to be honest with you.
An A, really?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. What's your thoughts on theaters doing? So we're at a theater that's a pretty traditional theater. It's got your snacks. It's got screens.
Yeah.
But theaters that are doing more like a spectacle when you show up, like bowling alleys, big arcade sections. What's your thoughts on that being a way to help theaters survive?
It's a night out thing, right?
Yeah.
It's called what do they say? Adapt or be killed. Survival of the fittest type of thing. Recliners and the
yeah.
idea of ordering real food like pizza and stuff and having it delivered to your chair. Alcohol. There's Fathom events. You can see they're streaming concerts and they're streaming football games
cool.
and wrestling
UFC
matches.
fights are
Right.
huge on
It's
those.
like that's kind of you can rent theaters
Right.
now for you and 20 of your friends. It's like those are the type of things that theaters had to figure out in the pandemic to survive, and a lot of those things post-pandemic I think are going to stick around.
So if somebody wanted to get started as a critic, what's that process like? How did you get started? Like, how did you become a Rotten Tomatoes approved critic? What is the flow of receiving a movie, reviewing it? What's all that?
So the number one thing, when people ask that, right, is because it just shows like in this age of technology and the internet and Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, right? These things that weren't around back when, you had to trust your local newspaper, only you could find it in magazines or newspapers, print online stuff, right? Now with all these different channels and platforms, social media, like anybody can have a voice. And I think that's important. I think it's great that now that we're getting so many diverse voices and backgrounds and hearing different perspectives that is so important. So you just got to be persistent, and you got to start out at something. And I started my own website. I started a blog, right?
TheOnlyCritic.com.
TheOnlyCritic.com. And the key is to just be consistent. And if you're going to start something, you gotta keep with it. The thing that I see the most is that people start something. They start an outlet, they start their blog, and then they let it go. And they don't, and it's tough to keep up with because, I see, 5, 6, sometimes 7, 8 movies a week. I don't like to, but if I have sometimes, I try to, New Year's resolution is to try to keep it to 5, because I also review theater productions, like like live theater. Yeah. And so the key, though, anybody that wants to start out is to just be consistent and just find something that you like to write about and persist with it. If you want to be a film critic, there's so many little studios, like film studios that, they're not going to have, it's not Netflix, it's not Apple TV. They're not going to be these big movies that are going to have, these major superstars, but, the smaller films, in a way, get you the most attention because they're going to boost you up. They're going to talk about, they're going to use your quotes, they're going to use you, and that's how you get your foot in the door. And those studios are always so grateful, too. And they're the easiest and they're the nicest to work with because they're just so happy that somebody wants to see their film. And then they'll usually share that review with agencies and talents and all that stuff. And then eventually, next thing you know, you're getting interviews, you're getting, hey, this person wants to talk to you.
So when you're going through a movie to review it, what are some things you look at specifically?
If I have the time, which it's rarely do I ever, I try to watch it again.
Okay.
You always want to go back and try to watch a film, especially if you really, really dug it. You try to watch it again before. But sometimes it's just not, time constraints, it's just not feasible. So if I can go back and watch something, and I always like to do that. Yeah. The end of the day, when I'm watching a film, it's like, what did it make you feel? Yeah. And, I can look at the cinematography, I can look at the pacing, you look at the editing, all the talking points. But really, at the end of the day, it's like, set all that stuff aside. And you have to ask yourself, it's like, were the actors believable? Were the relationships believable? Could you put yourself in this situation and, like, did you connect with it on some level? Really, it's just like, you can look at all of it objectively, all of it subjectively, however. It's just how it made you feel.
What's it like reviewing TV? Do you go through a whole season? I imagine time can be way different for that.
Right. It depends. So
a lot of shows pick up. They're not good until first few.
Right. And so when you've already committed, you kind of just got to stick with it. So Netflix usually sends all their, because they got the binge model. Yeah. They send all their stuff up front. Okay. Disney, like Disney Plus and the Marvel shows, they're hit or miss. Sometimes you'll get 1 episode. Sometimes you'll get 2. Sometimes you'll get 3. Never more than 3 though. Yeah. And, HBO will send, like, if it's a 10-episode season, you'll get, like, 6 or 7 episodes just to get you a taste. Yeah. But the downside of that is that, so sometimes you're watching things that are not finished. Like, they'll send you stuff that's unfinished.
Oh, really?
Like, I remember I watched, was it Lovecraft Country, which was an HBO show last summer. So it's like, the first 2 episodes, which were air ready. And then, like, you watch 3 or 4 or 5, there was a lot of temp visual effects. Yeah. A lot of music that wasn't done.
Does that throw you out? How's that?
Yeah, a little bit. And it's almost like I almost don't want to, I feel like it's not fair. Yeah. To review those when their things are not done, but they do it because they want you to feel a connection with it, or they want you to get a taste for like what's coming, so it helps you write out a fully fledged review. But some things you'll see it'll cut and there'll be storyboards. If you get a full season of something that's only going to air weekly, it's like technically you're watching a show that comes out tomorrow, but the last episode isn't for like 2 months. It's like they have a lot of time, so they don't need to rush it. So, and I'm sure that if it was up to the filmmakers or the people that are making it, they're probably not thrilled that happens.
Loving that, yeah, exactly.
Right? And it also is a bummer too, right?
As Hawkeye shooting air.
Right. But it's also too, when I was like a show I just watched recently, it's called The After Party, and it's coming out on Apple TV on the 29th, right? So it's a murder mystery, whodunit. And so Apple had it's an 8-episode series. I saw the first 7, so now I don't know the last. So it's like now I was invested, and now I don't know how it ends. And sometimes they don't give you the episode until it airs, so I might not. It's like I've already seen it up till the last episode, but the last episode might not air till March. So it's now I have to wait till March to find out. So like that's the pros and cons, right?
Is that an oversight? Why didn't they just give you the final episode?
Probably because spoilers. They don't want.
Oh, really?
Right? Like they don't
trust.
Is
that a problem with critics stuff?
Not really. There's not a lot of leakage that happens, and they're very specific about. So like Netflix sends out these letters, and they give you bullet points of things that you like literally cannot talk about in your coverage because they don't want you to spoil certain things. And like that's not me. I would never want to spoil anything either. Oh, yeah. And they have strict embargo guidelines with when you can post and react and all that stuff. And so if you were to leak or spoil anything, you would just get all your privileges revoked.
Yeah, it
So,
seems
and it is
negative.
a privilege. Like that's what I don't talk about. It's like getting on these lists and getting to do what I do. It's like I'm very fortunate that I get to,
Right.
and I'm very lucky. It's like it's not like this happens overnight. I'm
Mhm.
very, very, very fortunate that I get to do this and that I get the access that I do. And so you got to take that very seriously. It's like I wouldn't, you know, if I were to spoil leak anything, it's like as a fan, I would be like, wow, that's jerkish,
Yeah.
right? Because you just ruined something for me. It's like, you know, being bestowed with the power of something before any, you know, the general population gets to see it. That's a big deal,
Yeah.
and I take it very seriously.
That's awesome. I mean, you got to.
Right.
I got a tough question for you.
Sure, lay it on me.
What do you love about movies?
What I love about movies, I love how you can feel transported when you're watching something. Like it, you know, you're having a bad day. You know, you're going through a tough time. You know, it's like the movies are that you escape, right? You and that's kind of the cliche, like inspirational, like put it on a movie quote box,
Yeah.
right? You know, type of thing. That thrill of watching something larger than life, something that's bigger than you, right?
Mhm.
On a big screen in a theater, that's just overwhelming and overpowering, and you know the things that movies can do and the things that they could make you feel. I think that's important. It's like you laugh, you cry, you know, you feel angry, you know, you watch something and you're leaving. It's like, man, you know, whether or not at the end of the day, if a movie is good or bad, like you had a reaction to it, you felt something, and I think that is what's most important about art and movie going in general.
How often do you watch movies for fun nowadays? Ever since you started doing?
You know, I'm trying to do it more because
Okay.
the quarantine showed, you know, the pandemic showed that I had a lot of blind spots and a lot of
Yeah.
things that I
How do you mean?
had never seen, like just a lot of classic films that I never had the opportunity to see because
Okay.
I, you know, came in college, you know, busy, and then left college, and then, you know, working full time, and then, you know, watching 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, movies a week. You know, you really didn't have time to catch up. You know, and I know what people say. It's like, well, you know, why didn't you see these movies, you know, growing up, or you know, when you were old? It's like, well, it's like accessibility was one thing, and also
Yeah.
it's just like my interests. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, back then it wasn't so much. Like I said, it was just Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey comedies. You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to see 2001: A Space Odyssey or Clockwork Orange. I watched a lot of Kubrick and
Yeah,
a lot
he's my
of
favorite director.
covered a lot of blind spots that I'd missed during the pandemic. You know, you hear things about 2001, like can you make it through it, or you know, and I'm so glad I submitted myself to it because it was
Yeah.
great. It was a lot of fun.
If
Not
I
fun
had
in
to
a way,
answer
but-
my favorite movie of all time, it'd be 2001.
You know, I
Obsessed with it.
have not yet since visited a rewatch.
Mhm.
Because I'm still letting it fester because
Yeah,
I still think
no.
about it. It's been like a
Right.
year, and I'm very much looking forward to the day when I do revisit.
I feel like
Just the film.
I love it every time I watch it more.
Yeah, right. And that's I can't wait to get back. But yes, I still watch movies for fun.
Yeah.
I still like, you know, channel surfing, and like last night, The Other Guys was on Comedy Central, or like Shallow Hal with Jack Black was on the other night. It's like,
Oh, you have cable.
yeah, I have cable.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah. So I channel surf from time to time,
Yeah.
and it's like when I have like, you know, an hour to kill, it's like, you know, I turn on something for
Uh-huh.
like 25, 30 minutes. It's like, oh wow, yeah. So it's like I try to. Those kind of like turn my brain off. Don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
So
What streaming services do you rock right now?
I have everything.
You have everything?
Nothing I don't have.
Really? It's insane how often I run into movies that I'm like, oh, I want to watch this, and I check, and it's not on any streaming service. Does that have you off, or are you just kind of you're more of a browser?
Yeah, if it's
I
not.
seek stuff out.
Yeah,
Like,
if I'm like really wanting to watch something, like I think there was this really bad slash film. It's called Valentine. It's about a killer in a Cupid mask who
Mhm.
stalks these women, and it wasn't on any streaming services. So I ponied up the $4 and I just rented it on my Apple TV. So it's like
yeah.
if you use anything you want to watch, like it's out there. Like you can find
right.
it. Like be it you got to pay a couple bucks, or
Yeah.
you just hopefully luck out and it's on a
Do you
streaming service.
buy like I have a huge DVD collection?
Big
They're
physical
all
media fan.
used.
Yeah, and I'm really big on the Criterion collection.
Yeah, I love those.
Buy a lot of Criterions.
I try to avoid
preserve
new
those.
because I'll go broke if I buy new DVDs. So I mostly go used off thrift books.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
my
Well, now
biggest,
that
or-
I got a 4K Blu-ray player now, so
Same.
now I've been
yeah.
getting 4Ks now. So
yeah. I got a
I gotta
cracked
get Scream.
4K, so
Oh.
I could do any region with it.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
Look at
nice.
you,
Highly
look at you.
recommend that at some
Yeah.
point. The Arrow films, they have their like UK selection is really crazy, so
Mm-hmm.
it opens up to all that.
You can find me at onlycritic.com.
Yeah, plug
all
your
my
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, if you want to Picks and Pans podcast, subscribe to that. I'm very grateful to be here chatting
Yeah.
about movies. It was a good time. Got a trip down memory lane.
Yeah,
This
the-
projection booth and the stairs that led to nowhere and the
inside.
marquee. So no, I'm just grateful, and thanks so much.
Where can
thanks
people
so
follow
much.
you
The Only Critic on Twitter,
at The Only
Instagram. Find me on Facebook. All that good stuff.
All right.
Only Critic. Yeah. Thank you.
Support the show and gain access to additional content on Talk Show To Go Premium Deluxe. Check out full interviews, behind the scenes content, additional memes, and more. Visit memestudium.com/premium deluxe today. or tomorrow. Whenever.